After the divorce, my husband left me with nothing and threw me out onto the street. With my last savings, I bought a shabby little house in the middle of nowhere. That very same day, I moved to the village, and when I saw what I had bought, I couldn't believe my eyes. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and leave any comment. Your support helps the channel grow and allows us to share even more stories with you. Enjoy listening. Where are you running off to, little one? Inga hurried after the small kitten that had darted into the dark basement and immediately let out a pitiful meow. This was a house she had recently bought. She still hadn't managed to look around the entire property. She had no other choice, and an abandoned old house in a small village was all she could afford. If she had been even a little smarter, she would have surely managed to put her ex-husband in his place. But instead, she gave away everything she had and barely avoided ending up on the street. It was a miracle she was even still alive. In her 35 years, Inga had received many blows from fate, but she had not hardened her heart. She often told herself that she had to become colder and stricter, that she should leave her naivety behind, but she could never fight herself or go against her own nature. Approaching the basement, Inga clicked the light switch. Somewhere, the wiring sparked, and the woman got scared, thinking she should call an electrician to check it, otherwise a fire could easily break out at this rate. Turning off the light, Inga decided that her phone flashlight would be enough. She went into the basement, fighting the fear of running into a pack of hungry rats. But inside, it was surprisingly dry and quiet. The kitten was meowing pitifully behind neatly stacked boxes. It occurred to Inga that the previous owners had left many things behind, and she should sort them out, but first she needed to call an electrician to fix the wiring. She couldn't possibly clean everything with just a flashlight. Taking the kitten, the woman went back into the house with it. She stroked the little one to calm it down. It was thin and dirty. It seemed to have no trust in people at all, but in the warm hands of its rescuer, it relaxed. "You're going to live with me. Since we found each other, I won't leave you on the street," Inga smiled. She gave the kitten some milk, bathed it, and it fell asleep on her lap. For the first time in years, Inga felt peace in her soul. She had no regrets and was glad she had managed to escape a marriage in which she had felt unhappy. She may have lost a lot, but she had gained freedom. Now she understood how bad things had been for her under the control of her husband and mother-in-law, who had used her trust for their own benefit. The next day, Inga managed to find an electrician. The village where she settled was small, but all the people were kind and helpful. Everyone offered their assistance, got to know their new neighbor, and told her she could always rely on them. This place felt like a little paradise. Even though it didn't have luxurious views and everyone wore what they could afford, her soul felt joyful, as if this had been her true home all her life. Roman, a 40-year-old stocky man, inspected the wiring in the house and in the basement. He quickly found the damaged areas and repaired them. He said it would be better to replace the old wires. Of course, for now they did not pose any serious danger, as long as she used caution and didn't forget to turn off the basement light. Inga understood that this house, which she had bought for next to nothing, would require significant investments. She needed to find some work and prepare for the winter. There was a lot to do, but for now she decided to sort through the old belongings of the previous owners and get rid of unnecessary junk. Since Roman had some free time, he offered to help Inga. The woman thought that everyone here was too kind, and she should prepare a welcome dinner, invite the neighbors, and get to know them better. She had seen in movies that this was how people used to do things. And besides, the people here were so warm that she genuinely wanted to befriend them. While carrying boxes covered in a thick layer of dust outside, Roman couldn't stop sneezing. Inga quietly laughed, and the man responded with a pleasant smile. "Do I really have my first friend here?" flashed through her mind. "Previously, this house belonged to our forester, Pyotr Anatolyevich," Roman began. "He was a good man. I was still a kid when he taught me how to fish. He took me with him on forest inspections and showed me how to set traps for small game." "Did he die?" Inga asked in a tense voice. It wasn't that she was afraid of stories about ghosts or signs, but she still felt uneasy. No, Roman said. During a storm, he was in the forest and a fallen tree hit him. He ended up disabled and confined to a wheelchair. His children didn't want to take care of him, so they sent him to a care home. His wife is also an elderly and sick woman, and she refused to take on that burden. I visit him from time to time. He's in good health, but he misses home. It would be hard for him to live here alone now. He accepted his fate so as not to become a burden. And yet, we were ready to help him. But apparently his children needed money urgently, so they insisted on selling the house quickly. He raised them like his own, and they treated him like this. But that's life. God will judge everyone. A heaviness settled in Inga's heart. A man had lost the ability to walk normally and was also taken away from the place where he had lived most of his life. It must have been very hard for him. Of course, she was glad she had found such a good deal and bought the house for almost nothing, but she still felt sympathy for the previous owner. He had been just as unnecessary to his family as she had been to hers. Perhaps they had more in common than she thought. While carrying another box out of the basement, Inga accidentally dropped it. Old notebooks, books, and photographs scattered across the floor. Kneeling down to collect them, Inga gasped. Her hands began to tremble when she saw a photograph of her mother holding a baby in her arms. That baby was her, Inga. Her heart started beating faster, and a lump rose in her throat. Where did this photo come from, in a stranger's house? She turned the photograph over and read a faded inscription, "Life is a small farewell." What do these words mean? While gathering the photos, Inga found a pendant, a half of a crystal teardrop. She reached under her blouse and pulled out the other half, the one that had once belonged to her mother. Could it be that her father once lived in this house? Her mother had never spoken about her father. She only said their paths had separated and asked her not to blame him for not staying with them. Finding another photo, of a handsome, stately man smiling while embracing her mother, Inga felt her heart ache, and tears slid down her cheeks. "I'll help you sort everything out," Roman said, returning to the basement. Noticing Inga's state, he asked what had happened. Inga could hardly find the words. She had never believed in fate, and she could never have imagined that it would bring her to the house where her father once lived. "This man," Inga whispered. "Do you know him?" "Yes, that's Pyotr Anatolyevich," Roman nodded. "He was a real handsome man in his youth. All the girls in the village dreamed of marrying him. He once loved a beautiful woman, but their paths separated. After that, Pyotr Anatolyevich married the widow of his close friend and decided he would take care of his friend's family since he couldn't be with the woman he truly loved. The old women on the benches even used to make legends about them. They said it was a tragic love story, like Romeo and Juliet." Inga didn't know how her parents had separated. Her mother had always forbidden her to ask about her father, but she still kept memories of him deep in her heart. Until her last breath, she asked her daughter not to blame him, but she never revealed the real reason for their separation. As a child, Inga had only overheard that her grandparents spoke badly about him, saying that he had ruined their daughter's life. How exactly, she never knew, and now she finally had a chance to find out. Perhaps fate itself had brought her to this house so she wouldn't remain alone. 5 years ago, after her mother's death, she thought she had no one left. She tried to find family in her husband and mother-in-law's eyes, but it all turned against her. And now she might finally meet her father. But what secret stood behind their separation? Could she really not blame him? This pendant, do you know Pyotr Anatolyevich? Inga's thoughts were interrupted by Roman's voice, and she flinched. "I don't know, but we might be connected. I need to meet him. Maybe he can tell me the truth about the past, about what separated my mother from the man she loved." Roman did not ask any more questions. He promised to take Inga to meet Pyotr Anatolyevich on the weekend. While slowly cleaning the house, the woman kept looking at the old photographs. She thought and thought, but no explanation seemed right. What could have separated two people who loved each other? Was it betrayal, or something greater? Within a few days, Inga managed to find a job at a small first-aid medical station in the neighboring village. The pay was modest, but it was better than wasting time traveling to the city. She could also earn extra money by picking berries in the forest and selling them, as the locals did. Inga had never been afraid of hard work and was ready to take on anything. On the weekend, as promised, Roman took her to meet Pyotr Anatolyevich. Perhaps her assumptions were wrong after all. Maybe he and Inga's mother had simply been good friends. But the moment they entered the small room filled with the smell of medicine, Pyotr Anatolyevich froze in shock. Inga looked so much like her mother that for a moment his mind went blank. But he quickly understood who was standing in front of him. Roman suggested taking Pyotr Anatolyevich outside for a walk to talk in the fresh air. He pushed the wheelchair ahead while Inga walked beside her father, unable to speak. Pyotr Anatolyevich began first. He told her that he and Anna had loved each other deeply, but her parents were strongly against their relationship. They did not want a son-in-law they considered unworthy. They gave Anna an ultimatum: the man she loved, or her family. She feared and respected her father, and she loved her mother. She could not abandon them, so she chose to end their relationship. I tried to explain to her that I would do anything to make her happy, that I would earn her family's respect, but she didn't listen. Anna made her choice, and I promised her I would respect it. I loved her too much to bear the sadness in her eyes. I didn't dare to convince Anna otherwise, he said, and I regretted it for a very long time afterward. My greatest regret in life is that I never saw my daughter grow up. And now I don't even know if I have the right to ask for your forgiveness. I failed to be a father to you. I tried to be useful to someone at least, raised other people's children, and now I've ended up here. This is my punishment, which I deserve for being a coward. I thought I was doing the right thing by stepping back, but I only ruined everything. I didn't have the courage to fight for my love. Inga listened to her father. Her heart ached, and she didn't know what the right thing to do was. However, she began visiting Pyotr Anatolyevich more often, getting to know him and listening to his stories about how he met her mother. Inga felt that her grandparents had kept her mother under strict control, and when they were gone, she quickly lost strength, became very ill, and did not live long either. Her mother's heart was full of regrets, just like her father's. Until her last breath, she regretted the choice she had made, and so did Pyotr Anatolyevich. Inga decided she could not leave her father in the care home. Fate had not brought them together for nothing. If Pyotr Anatolyevich's wife had not sold that old house, Inga would never have discovered how deeply her parents had loved each other, or how outside pressure had torn them apart. She would never have met her father, and he would have faded away in the care home. But now there was a chance to change everything. Even though Pyotr Anatolyevich told his daughter he was unworthy of her attention and kindness, Inga brought him home. She promised she would take care of him, and although they had been separated in the past, they would make up for lost time. Returning to his old home, Pyotr Anatolyevich came back to life. He began to look much better. He took up wood carving again, contacted an old friend, and started taking orders from the city so he could support his daughter financially and not be a burden. He helped around the house in every way he could. His wife came with her son when she found out that Pyotr had reunited with his daughter. She tried to intimidate Inga, telling her not to even think about claiming any inheritance in the city. She demanded that Pyotr Anatolyevich sign over the city apartment, which they had bought together, to her children. But Inga did not need any inheritance and made that very clear. She had found her father and did not dare wish for anything more. Seeing Inga's kind heart, Roman began to court her. For the first time, he met a woman he wanted to walk through life with, hand in hand. And since they had so much in common, Inga did not refuse him. Having escaped her past to a quiet village, Inga found true happiness. And not only her. The kitten she had saved grew into a strong, grown cat, guarding the yard from unwanted guests. A year and a half later, Inga gave birth to a daughter, and their big, cozy home was now filled with the sound of little footsteps. Life had finally settled into place, and Inga was grateful to fate. Thinking she had lost everything after her divorce, she had actually gained far more, and she regretted nothing.